Hey there, Jill Kaufman again, therapist, divorce coach, and co-parenting expert. And today we're talking about why start with a CDFA versus an attorney. And I'm so excited to have Courtney McLellan to answer that question for you. She's the CDFA. Courtney, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Courtney, and I actually am a founder of two companies, both focusing on the financials around divorce. And the first one is called Phoenix Financial Advocates, and within that firm, I help people understand their assets when they're going through divorce, and also assist attorneys and act as an expert, a financial expert in trials. And then I have a second company that's an actual legal process that can be done with or without attorneys, but it starts with the CDFA in the first phase, and then it moves on to mediation and arbitration.
Awesome. I know we have information about all of your companies on our directory, but can you answer the question, why should someone start with a CDFA versus starting with an attorney?
Yes, I would love to. That's actually what I'm passionate about. And it's the reason I started Phoenix Financial Advocates. Because when I came into this industry, one of the first things I thought is, wow, this is one of the more complacent industries I've seen because it was so stuck in its old ways. And today you have so many resources and so many different experts and so many different fields that can really help with divorce so that it doesn't have to look like the divorce of the past. And typically, a CDFA, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, um, in the past, it's often been used as an extra designation with a financial advisor, but a lot of times it wasn't used in an analyst from an analyst perspective, meaning no one was billing hourly saying, I'm a certified divorce financial analyst and I will actually look at help you create a marital balance sheet. I'll look at your assets, see what's worth fighting for, and, just the financial task around divorce. So my firm specifically does that because that's a whole job in itself. But I think it's great to start with a CDFA because one of my inspirations for starting my company was my co-owner, Allison. And, I watched her go through her divorce process, and it was so led by emotion the whole way. And of course, it's going to be a very emotional process. But I kind of feel like when you walk into that attorney's office, it's a little bit backwards. You are feeling desperate, you're traumatized. Attorneys are very busy, frankly. A lot of them, I mean, they've got plenty of cases. And so sometimes you're just like hoping that they'll take your case. And so you're just in this vulnerable position, and right away, out of the gate, it's like, okay, here's my retainer, and you're on this ride. Rather, I think if you come, to a CDFA first, we can at least, acknowledge there's emotions there, but let's go ahead and from the beginning, let's start with, what are your assets? What are your debts? Um, what is your history with money? What is your spending like? And what are your emotional patterns around the money? Um, so that we can, from the start, just really look at what the actual numbers are. Um, what this means, while we don't give legal advice, we are well versed in like community property, equitable distribution, marital versus separate, that type of thing. And we can do the calculations so that you have the numbers. So, yes, you're still going to be emotional. Yes, it'll still be hard to go through this. However, you might not be willing to spend the $100,000 on the legal, bill because you realize actually before you start what you're fighting for. And I just feel like much too often, um, in traditional divorce, it's the opposite. You start paying these legal bills and you just want to win, and then it's delays and you just keep paying. And then at the end of it, you're like, oh, that's what I was fighting for. I didn't really have the full understanding.
Yeah, and Courtney, in addition to everything that you just said, usually attorneys aren't financial professionals.
Mm.
They don't have an expertise in the finances. So you're dealing with them and they're asking for all this financial information, and they're not really going to be the ones who are going to dig into that financial information. So you're just wasting time and money doing that
Mhm.
with the attorney. So why not start with the financial professional, and and also it's a little bit smaller in terms of like what you're dealing with in the beginning. Like if you go to an
Yeah.
attorney, you're thinking about the house, you're thinking about the kids, you're thinking about the parenting schedule, you're thinking about the finances. If you go straight to a CDFA, you're only thinking about the finances. And it's a little bit easier to handle that in
Mhm.
the beginning also. So I think
Yeah.
it just makes sense so many ways to start there versus starting with an attorney.
Yeah, and I think that, a CDFA can help you get everything together so that when you walk into the attorney's office for that consult, you're asking the right questions. The attorney's going to be very impressed with you. And plus, CDFAs cost less than attorneys. So you don't necessarily want to spend an attorney hourly rate to do what a CDFA can do at a lower rate. And I will say that in my opinion, the good attorneys, they set the ego aside. They don't have to handle all of it. They're willing to say, you know what, I'm a legal expert. Let's give you to the personal financial expert for this part of it. And then,
Yes.
they work together. And those are the best scenarios, I believe.
Yeah. And I love that you said that you're prepared for your attorney meeting because you want to
Mhm.
be prepared for your attorney meeting. You don't want to walk in there not having a plan of what questions you
Yeah.
want to ask and how you're going to approach this. And that saves you so much in terms of time, money, and like you said, getting to those crazy legal fees. So
Yeah, it's empowering, it's educating, and they walk in and they know they're just not in as much of a vulnerable state. So, um,
awesome.
and everyone has emotions around money. I do want to say that. So don't not do it out of fear. Trust me, it's going to be much better if you figure out what's going on and face
Yeah.
it.
Well, how can people get in touch with you?
So, I'm Courtney at phoenixfa.com, like Phoenix Financial Advocates, or uh, my website is phoenixfinancialadvocates.com. And then the legal process for divorcing is solagree.com, Solagree.com.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you.
Take care.